This is Messages from the Universe with Laurie Wondra of Your Life Core. Here, Laurie delivers information from the Mastery Realms related to astrology, planetary influences, energy surges, and generally how we are evolving. She connects with angels, guides, ascended masters, astro beings, and those that come forward with messages to help us on our journey. Welcome, everyone, to Messages from the Universe podcast.
Hello, this is Laurie Wondra, and thank you for listening. Let's talk about force and flow, or being in the energy of flow versus force. Force is related to the change in momentum of a mass per unit time. F equal dp divided by dt is the formula. Force is also the product of pressure or pressure drop and the area. So flow from a nozzle or a pipe produces a net force by virtue of the flow and the pressure drop at the exit. That's a lot of science stuff, but we can think of it better as if you remember back to maybe being a child and the times that you played with water pressure and flow, whether this was in the bathtub or if you were running a hose and playing in the backyard, allowing it to flow or holding your finger or your hand over the top of the nozzle creates a pressure buildup and then spraying of the water. So that's demonstrating flow versus force. The universe provides both the pressure and the space for us, or the area for us to move. We can feel we are flowing along easily in life, or sometimes feel as if we're being sprayed all over the place with our energy being scattered. My question today is, do you feel like you're forcing things through life or your work environment, your home environment? If everything feels like you have to push or work so hard for it, you have the thoughts or mindset that life is just hard, then you're living in the energy of force. Let's say you turn on a water faucet and the end were partially blocked, so it ended up spraying all over you. You'd quickly look for how to turn down or turn off the water. You'd taper down the pressure until it was more manageable. You probably would not allow it to continue to spray all over the place. You'd immediately look for some way or some method that you could reduce that pressure and therefore reduce the spraying. Sometimes that might be turning it off or down, and sometimes it's just to totally move away from the spray. But in real life, when we talk about force or flow in the energy field, oftentimes we forget to turn off the nozzle or to move away. We forget that we can move away and watch from a safe distance. I find it interesting we don't use the same principles to look for the easiest way to turn down or to turn off the pressure. When we work in the energy of force, we continue to just muscle through it. Do you feel that everything you do has to be successful, or you have to have a specific outcome? Do you ever find yourself saying whatever happens, happens? Or do you drive with such force that you're going to make it happen no matter what? You don't give up no matter how long you're tired or you feel the pressure. No matter what happens, what resources are, you find yourself just continuing to push through it. Do you find yourself frustrated that you've been trying or working on something for so long, but you still don't have the results you expect or that you desire? You're not in the flow. And sometimes you have to turn down the pressure or step away from the pressure. You're trying to force something that's simply not in alignment with what you're trying to do or where you are at this time. When we are in constant force, we sometimes can convince ourselves we're in a good place by believing and saying, I'm working on it. I'm going to keep trying. Well, when you're always working on something but not getting the results you expect, it's just not fun. And it doesn't feel good to be constantly trying to force something. It's like constantly swimming upstream, never giving yourself a rest, not enjoying the journey, focused on the end result and not the pace or the journey or the experience. If you've ever gone swimming against the current, or you've paddled a canoe against the current, you will know that it's easier to go with the current than it is against it. It gets tiresome to go against it. You want to be with the flow. Be in the flow. It's so much less work and it's more aligned. Most of us have grown up with parents or our surroundings that remind us that good things come to those that work hard, or that nothing is free, and if we want things in life, we have to really work for them. We've heard this. Life is hard. Life can be hard. We have generational imprints where life was hard, and oftentimes working hard did pay off for someone else. But this lifetime can be different. You can be in the flow and still work hard, but get the results that you want. Being in the flow does not mean you don't have to put in some work. It means that you see results and feel that those results and that hard work are putting you in the progress or putting you in that space that you desire. Flow happens when the force stops and everything feels right. Think about turning down the water faucet. When you turn it down, when you release the pressure, flow happens. When we become aligned, the work doesn't really feel like work. It feels like you're following your passion. You're where you're supposed to be. Time sometimes seems to disappear, and there's a level of exhaustion, but it's a good exhaustion. You feel like it's a day or it's an accomplishment, that it's been well received, where you know that all you've done and all you've experienced has propelled you forward and you're making progress. Alignment, or being in the flow, also does not mean that everything just drops in your lap, that opportunities continue to just fly towards you. Obstacles can still exist when you're in the flow. There's a huge energetic difference between the constant fight when you're in forcing, or when you're being in the flow with what you know is right for you. There's often a feeling of being defeated or losing the battle when you're out of flow, when you're forcing something. But sometimes we can develop an acclimation to the energy of always being in the position of force. We question, am I in the flow or am I forcing it? Why am I always working so hard? I'm getting results, but everything is a push. We become accustomed to just working that way, and it can become our energy. And if we feel we're not pushing so much, then we feel we're also not succeeding. We lose sight of what being in the flow is. We lose sight of what comfort and calm and flow really means. The imprint of having to continue to work hard for something you want. We're reminded of the elite athletes that train for 8 to 12 hours a day, every day for months on end, only to compete at an event for a short period of time. But we forget that before or during that training, they have a preset ability in that sport or the event that was ignited somewhere along the path for them. Not everyone can be an Olympic athlete. Not everyone should train this way, nor does everyone have the same ability based on body type, or simply it's not their earthly mission. That's part of alignment also. It's important to dream and have goals and to work on those dreams and goals, but sometimes the energy of force can knock us off track of where our natural flow might be, or the expectation of what we want to accomplish might not be aligned with our ability. It might be we continue working or pushing, but shift the expectation. Sometimes individuals are afraid to stop the work because they don't know what else to do if they stop the force. All their energy has been forced on this one goal, or on this dream, or on the successes, on the movement in this one area. And should they stop, they no longer have that goal or vision. They no longer have that identity. They feel a sense of loss of purpose. That's putting an incredible amount of pressure on yourself to make something happen that might not be aligned with you or your mission here on earth. Early in life, people would tell me, oh, you're going to be so successful in life. I had a version of what that would be in my mind, and I've noticed that the definition of success has vastly changed over the years, and I continue to redefine it. I find as I experience life, I'd question exactly what is success. When I'd coach individuals or work with businesses, we'd define what does success look like. Is it money? Is it customers? Is it clients? Is it the number of locations? Does it have flavors of stress-free days? Balance? Is it fun? Is it enjoyment? Bringing more of that human, emotional side into what success is versus always having a result or a thing as the result. In my corporate days, when I was an executive leader, I'd noticed in my own personal life that along with my own version of success also came more responsibility. The more I needed to be accountable and often to hold others also accountable. The more commitments I'd have, I'd find myself pushing for others to also make commitments. The more people I have who are in one way or another counting on me to pull them through. There's a lot of pressure in that. The law of more equal more is constant, whether you're in the world of force or whether you're in the world of flow. The more goals or successes or accomplishments, the more the universe seemed to push at me. But was the force that the universe was pushing a comfortable force, or the force that feels like you're out of control and you just need to survive the ride until the next wave comes? Certainly, there would be stress-free days, easy days, fun days that were more relaxed and time to celebrate. I was always all about getting the work done, working hard, and then pausing to play, honor, reward, celebrate that hard work. But I'd question if there was a balance between the work really hard and then the celebrate, relax, and rest. There were times there were no breaks between working and resting. It became a constant for me, or a continuum, and I didn't recognize the break, or it seemed like I couldn't pause long enough to take the break. There was always something else pushing to get done. I never wanted to be that sort of leader that pushed people to success. I wanted to motivate, to help them get to their greatest light. And I still, to this day, seek for that. How do I motivate versus pushing? Because pushing just isn't fun. As I'm talking, I'm sure some of you can relate to a job or a company that you may have experienced that's lost that human element. When I talk about motivating versus pushing or forcing, you probably have experienced leaders or coworkers that pushed but didn't motivate, that talked about success in terms of hard work, dedication, and never giving up the fight. Keep going. Real success is more powerful than the accomplishment or the end result. It's also tied to our emotions, our motivation of the accomplishment of a job well done or the job that we've just completed. And again, the law of more equal more applies. More push or pressure can create more push and pressure, and the perception of success. The feel good because it's a job well done from all the hard work. We can work hard and have success and feel good, but we can also be in balance and feel invigorated by the work. We can be motivated and be pushed if we're able to recognize the subtle difference in the energy of force versus flow. Sometimes we equate success to money, and the money might be created in an idle method. Let's say individuals or companies that don't appear to have to do anything. They have this residual income coming to them, but they may also not feel happy or content. On our human journey on Earth, we get to have the journey. We get to have the experiences as part of our evolution, and the experiences are important to our evolution. Our emotions have to provide some sort of output that tells us something. So doing nothing doesn't really evolve us. Force might bring uncomfortableness, tiredness, sometimes pain or overwhelm, and those are emotions that because of their uncomfortableness, they push us to change. So even in that, it forces us or pushes us to simply try something different. Maybe that uncomfortableness is telling us we're not aligned. We're not in flow. Force creates obligation for more, continued pressure. Energy is based on obligation, fear, or desire. And we don't like to be forced to do things in general. And again, force feels uncomfortable, but more force creates more force. And what if being in the flow brought you success, motivation, joy, and fulfillment in life, and provides the desire to work, the desire to keep going, the motivation of a job well done? And keeping in mind that money is a form of energy, if you think of the infinity sign, the sideways 8, and it's moving outward and inward, money follows this pattern. When in balance, an outward flow and an inward flow. In this lifetime, we use the energy of money to live, to have the things we need and want, to keep it for the future and use it now. Pay bills, get groceries, pay our rent, mortgages, car payments. There's a choice around how we use money and how we make it. And if we're working solely for money, we are goaled on that frequency of energy. We've set the goal to the frequency of money. It can carry the vibration of survival or the desire that it will bring more to you. Love, joy, those have a higher frequency. When we love what we do, we carry that frequency. And of course, we need money to live on this planet, but it's easier to earn that money when you are motivated, aligned, when you use your skills, and absolutely when you love what you do. That's really a goal most humans, if not all humans, have. Work is just easier when we enjoy it. That's also being in the flow. Often we want to make a leap to independence, thinking that the independence and working for ourselves will bring us something we aren't getting. It might bring us happiness and joy. We might have a dream to set our own schedule and do work that is most important and meaningful. We believe or dream that this independence will bring us more joy, more love. But often we get to that place and we must learn other ways to flow into the frequency of love and joy. It's not the work that creates the love and joy. It's us. It's our frequency. And often when we're independent, there are things we didn't anticipate. It's like the shop owner that wants to own their own shop because they like the product or they like shopping to stock their store. But once they open their shop, they quickly find that there's other things they didn't anticipate. There's vendor relationships that they have to work with. They have to pay the vendors. They have to clean. They have to stock. They have to hire employees. Sometimes they have to fire employees. They have to schedule maintenance, fix the building, do taxes. So much more than just selling the product. And some might find suddenly the dream of being independent was not what you expected. And this is where we think we're stepping into the flow, but suddenly it's this pressure, this force. We find ourselves not where we expected to be. And this is a resetting of our expectations. The amount of people who are going to create your exact dream job and hire you for it is pretty slim. So there's a balance in the universe that you also need to have to be included in the creation process in finding your joy, your happiness within what you do. It's managing your expectations of the universe. It's paying attention to when you're happy and in the flow of the natural energy or when you're forcing something. Force might make money, but it also may not bring happiness. And of course, then there is the universe. Of course, the universe has a say in what, when, why we're experiencing something or someone or not experiencing something. The universe knows our mission, our plans, our dreams, what's right, what's wrong. The universe helps us with the alignment or the flow of what we do. The universe provides the opportunity for us to experience both force and flow. Flow is naturally abundant and joyful and happiness. Force requires something else. When we force our energy, we're using an abnormal amount of energy, and over time, we may become overwhelmed, overexert ourselves, even get sick. Force is really a short-term energy. It's a built-up, pressurized system. It can help us rise over a hump, but we simply cannot continue to push with the same energy for any extended period of time. We wear down. If we've left the job that was restrictive, we didn't like it, and we started something new and we find that we're still unhappy, we still aren't in that place of joy and balance, and we're still looking for flow in our life, ask first if you are aligned. Do you need to shift the expectations you have first? The shift in the expectations may also be a shift in your income, your vacation time, your free time, your office space, whatever that might be open to all of it. Being in a natural flow of energy allows you to focus on more or easier things that are aligned to you. We're more relaxed in life when we're in the flow. Being in the energy of force requires you to focus your energy and all your energy on that force. You're trying to control it. You're trying to continue it. And certainly it needs to be shifted or it will shift you. Now, I've used the example of the work environment a lot, but this can apply to any area of your life, relationships in your life, where you live, certainly your career. Where might you be forcing something because that's what you think you should do or that's what you've been told you should do, and where you may be in flow, where it feels more natural, where you listen to yourself and you listen to what the universe is showing you. I remember back in my corporate days when I first left that environment, decided to totally leave it. I knew I was leaving behind paid vacation, salary, other perks, but I trusted the universe would guide me. I trusted that the force that was there, that was being created around that environment, would be released and I'd become more in flow. But honestly, I had to also adjust my expectations, and I had to keep adjusting my expectation. I actually allowed the universe to show me what to expect. I had no expectations. I would dream and then observe. I would act and then I would observe. And if I felt like I was moving into a space of force or it didn't feel right, I would back off. I'd turn the nozzle down a little bit. And yes, at times it was uncomfortable. I was so accustomed to the force of that old work environment that I had to learn new. I adjusted my expectation. It's really coming to pay attention to what the universe is nudging you to do or not do, and then be willing to pivot, to change, to shift. It's willing to be uncomfortable. I say that for many years, I was doing both traditional corporate and the spiritual work on the side, and I thought I would just continue until I couldn't. And that was quite apparent when the universe was saying, you don't have enough time to do both. And I'll admit again, it was scary, it was unfamiliar, and not exactly what I had totally planned, but yet all indicators were for me to leave where I was and do something else. And I think that we are in a time in history, in our lifetimes, that we're getting those nudges, we're getting those pushes. We've been tolerating the work environment or tolerating relationships or tolerating our home lives. And the truth is, we have more choice. And though it can be scary and unfamiliar and things that we hadn't planned, we have more options available to us. We have more support available to us. And we're working through those lifetimes and those ancestral wounds of those things that held us back. The questions I always ask myself when something is changing, and usually it's when something ends or it dies away and there's a new beginning. I ask, what is working naturally? Because the universe will always show us something that is working. So if you're feeling like nothing is working, everything is such hard work, pause for a moment. Give yourself time to observe and ask, what is working naturally? Because I guarantee the universe will show you something that is. And I ask, what's flowing? What's flowing without or with little effort? That's something that's being in the natural flow. Also ask, where am I the happiest? Where am I most comfortable? Where do I feel energized and joyful? What can't I see that's working because I don't want it to work that way? I'm going to say that again. What can't I see that's working because I don't want it to work that way? I'm so heavily imprinted, or I have so many fears, or I don't know, or I think I don't know what direction, that I simply don't see it. And what is the universe supporting me to do? Because the universe is always supporting. It might not be what you expect or what you want or what you think you should want, but the universe is always supporting. And how do I structure everything I'm doing to support, to augment, to increase what's working naturally? And lastly, what fears or what might I also need to learn or to let go of to follow the flow? Because we're always evolving, expect that we have to shift. Expect that you have to shift and change. In our world, we need both force and flow. Both follow the law of more equal more. It's often difficult to discern where to keep pushing through to something you want and when to use force and when to pause and assess where you are and question if applying force is the right thing. The mind, our mental processes, is attracted to fixing, problem solving, solutioning, and of course, forcing. And many humans love a good challenge. It's like a puzzle that needs fixing. It's a drive and a push, and there's excitement and exhilaration. And if we continually feel we need to do more or have more, such as possessions, money, even happiness, that's force. The push or the energy behind that is force. And we have lifetimes of familiarity in using force to survive. But this lifetime is different. The heart is capable of flow. It feels easier, kinder, friendlier, is more peaceful when we're in the energy of flow. And we're unfamiliar with this energy, but it is the energy that's supporting us now and our future. Neuroscience has proven that what we call our heart can sense and process information that our logical brains are not built to understand. There's an intelligence in the heart that goes back to primitive times. In modern day, we've been trained to cut ourselves off from it and over-rely on our head or our brain or the processes. We get habitual in our processes. I need to do this just because everybody else is doing it or everybody else is telling me. But our brain can develop new or improved processes that support our growth and support our heart and support our evolution. And our mind can also manipulate us to be stuck in the old, to be stuck in fears and judgments and beliefs as to how things should be done. We've done it before. It's worked in the past. Why would I want to change it? Well, evolution is change. And instead of keeping the mindset of forcing as an outcome, allow your heart to put you in flow so that you can work with what's already there. You get to choose your path, mind or heart. Which is leading and which is following? Is your mind leading and your heart following? Is the heart leading the mind and the mind is following up? Or is the mind leading and the heart's chasing, or it's lost somewhere behind? You get to choose. But it is a lot easier, and it is the energy that we are living in right now is to be more in flow. Practice daily just your awareness, your observation as to what the universe is showing you or not showing you where to step. Sometimes the universe takes away the things that are forceful. That might be a job or a relationship that doesn't work out because that would be too much work. Pay attention. Follow your heart. Be aware of what brings you joy. Understand that flow does mean that there's work involved. It's just not so pressurized. I want to thank you for listening. I'm Laurie Wondra, sending you much love, joy, and happiness.
Thank you for listening to Messages from the Universe podcast with Laurie Wondra of Your Life Core. For current events or to schedule a private session with Laurie, please visit yourlifecore.com.